So in today's video, we're going to be spraying these panels with some white epoxy primer that we're going to be tinting. Let me grab one thing real quick that I forgot to get. So this is our toner that we're going to be using. It's a mocha toner that we use to spray the underside of these panels. If you didn't see the other video, I'll put a link down in the description below. In this one, we're going to be using the 5-star epoxy primer, and it's a white. And then this here is our urethane reducer. We're going to be using to thin it out. And then our activator or hardener. But before we start any of that, we want to hit the panels with some acetone with some rubber gloves. Make sure that your hands are clean. Make sure that you have gloves on. And we're going to clean all the panels with acetone. Then we're going to go over the top of it with a tack cloth to kind of get all the impurities out. Let's take you over and get started. Now you'll notice I got my gloves on. Most important part, you don't want to get any of the oils of your skin. And a brand new pair of towels here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys how dirty these are going to get. Now I just sanded these with 100 grit. Then I went over the top of that with a red Scotch Brite pad. And then I just blew it off with compressed air. I'm going to show you how bad and how dirty and greasy these panels are, even though they're just raw metal with no paint. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of acetone, put it on the towel. Look at that. Look how dirty that is. Okay, so I'm going to go through the whole panels. I'll use one to actually do all the prep work, and then I'm going to use the next one to do the final work. I'll go through and do all these panels. Alright, so I went over it. This is the dirty towel. I just did one pre-wipe over all those panels. That's a clean towel. That's how much grease and grime is still on that. So now I'm going to take this towel and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just want to hit it 2 times. Then we'll go over with a tack-free cloth. This towel right here is the first one that we wiped with acetone. That's the second one. So that may not look like much grease, but if you compare them, there's quite a bit of grease on these panels. So now what we're going to do is we have a tack cloth. Okay, what we're going to do with that, we're going to open that up, and this is going to get all the dust off. Now what we did is we hit it with some compressed air, okay, to get all the dust off. And then we're just going to take this towel, called the tack cloth. We're going to wipe over the whole thing just to get any of the residual dust off. A couple things I wanted to point out. This right here is the water that was in my air compressor. So it was a good idea before you spray any paints, primers, epoxies to drain your air compressor tank, because all that could be going in your new spray out. So I'm just going to set that aside so I don't spill it. And I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to show you, we want to do a little test spot with the tint because we don't know if this is going to tint. Okay, because we've never used this type of primer before, epoxy, especially by 5-star. If you watched the previous video, you would have seen the Eastwood brand that we did, and it actually tinted pretty well. But this one we don't know, but we do know that we want to measure it out. That is the old, that's the color of the Scotch guard that we tinted the other one with. So I want to try to match that as close as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of the epoxy, And I'm going to put it in this container here. Okay, I just want to test it. I want to see if it's going to mix together or if it wants to separate. Now, I'm not worried about the right color right now. What I want to do is I just want to test it to see if we can actually tint it. So it's a good idea to stir it. Even your epoxy, I just got done stirring that. And I'm just going to take a couple little drops and put it in there. Not very much. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to stir it and I want to see if it's going to separate or if it'll actually blend together and I'll get a color out of it. So that's what we're looking for. And it looks like to me that we do have a color in there. You guys can see. So it is tintable and it doesn't look like it's separating. Now, if this particular toner didn't tint with here, you would get separation and it would start to bead up. But we don't have that, and it looks like to me, you look at the actual mixing cup here, you can see that it's tinting really well. Okay, so now it's just going to be kind of a match up to kind of see how we want it to look. That's probably pretty close. Put those two together. Whoops, before I spill it all over. And it looks like that's pretty darn close. All right. All right, so now we're going to take it over here and we're going to put it in the cup and mix it up. So I want to explain a little bit on the mixing ratios. So I have a cup that's 4:1:1, and if you look here at the back of the can, and you probably can't see it from there, but it says 4:1:1. So it's 4 parts primer, 1 part reducer, and 1 part activator. Now this is a primer epoxy, so it's got a hardener in it, and it's designed to be just as strong as paint, minus the clear coat. But it has a hardener in it to activate this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first 4 parts up to this line. We're going to go right here, 4 of the primer, epoxy. And then we're going to go to the reducer up to the next line, which is the next one. And then we're going to take the activator to the next line. I'll show you how to do that. I'll bring you a little bit closer. That's just kind of an explanation of how this stuff works. 4 parts to this, 1 part to this, and 1 part to this. Let me take you closer to the cup here. So we're going to start mixing it up. If you can see there, let me grab the little screwdriver. So we're going 4 parts primer, 1 part activator, and 1 part reducer. Now it doesn't matter which direction you do it, if you do the hardener first or the reducer first, but all we're trying to do is we're just matching the 4s all the way up. So you guys can see that. So you're going to hit 4 here with the primer, 1 here with the reducer, and to this one with the hardener. So we're just following the 4s all the way up. I'm going to mix this up for you guys so you can see it on camera. This is probably the most confusing part when you're mixing epoxy primers. You always want to make sure that you're following the instructions. It's extremely crucial. So I'm going to fill this up to 4. Okay. We're almost there, just passing 3. And that looks like 4 right there. All right. Now we're going to hit it with the reducer. I should have opened these before I started, but I apologize for that. I guess at least it's in real time, so you guys get to actually see how long it takes to mix it up. So I'm popping the lid on the reducer. Now the reducer is going to go up to this line right here. Okay? So you guys can see what I'm doing. Just go slow. All right about there. That's the reducer. Now we're going to hit it with the hardener. And I didn't break the cap on this one either. I try to keep my videos as short as possible, but sometimes you just need to explain things a little bit. So we're going to bring that one up to this 4 right here. Okay. Right about there. Okay. Now from here, we're going to start to stir it. Now this has a pot life of 3 hours before it's actually going to go bad. But once we stir it, we want to start the clock. Because right now it is 11:30. We don't want to actually spray this. It says right here on the instructions that you want to wait 10 minutes before you spray it, so it has time for everything to cure. And then you also want to wait another 10 to 20 minutes between coats. So my panels are all ready. I'm ready to spray. I still have to tint it. So let me raise the camera up here a little bit and I'm going to put the tint in. Alright, what I learned in the last time that I tinted this, I think it's easier to just put a couple drops in like this and then just kind of stir it up from there. Because it is such a contrast and I'm just looking for a yellow, I'm not looking to match any colors or anything like that. I mean, I want it to be close, but what I'm looking for right now is I'm hoping that the tint will work with the reducer and the hardener now that we've applied to this. Because to me it's still looking a little white, so I'm going to put a little bit more tint in and hope that it'll actually tint. Okay, because we do want it to match. I've always wanted a yellow primer. I just think it looks kind of classy. Now I don't know if this is actually tinting very well. What I might do on the next run is I might actually tint it before I put the hardener in and the reducer. I mean, it does look like it's working, but it's just not getting dark enough. And I can continue putting toner in it, or tint, or whatever you want it to call it. And it might just need a little more. We'll try that. If not, on our next round, when we actually do it, we'll spray it out. We'll tint the primer before we put any of the hardener in. It still looks pretty white. So I'm not really sure on how good this 5-star will tint. We'll know once we spray it out. It's mixing well, but it just doesn't look like it's getting a good color to it. It's getting close, but I'm having to use a lot more of the toner than I did when I used the Eastwood. And the Eastwood might be a better option for us because it is a tintable primer. But I thought it would be good to at least try this product before I ordered a whole gallon of it, to kind of see how it lays out. I mean, it does have a bit of a yellow in it, and it's getting closer. You can see, but it's still got a little bit of a white spray to it. So I'm going to use just a little bit more. I've used a lot more toner on this, maybe because the pigments are a little bit stronger than they were in the other one, and it just doesn't tint very well. But it is starting to turn brown, a creamish yellow. So the more tint I put in, the browner it's getting, the more yellower a base. And I do believe I'm getting pretty close. Alright? But it's just going to take a lot more toner to tint this 5-star epoxy than the Eastwood epoxy. They're both experimental for me. I don't know which one I wanted to use. My local supplier, I can get tint from them and epoxy from them, but I didn't know if I wanted to buy it from them. But it looks like to me that's tinted pretty well. I believe that's the color I'm looking for. Yeah, I would say that's pretty close, but I just had to use a lot more toner. So let me take you over here to the cup gun and I'll show you what kind of cup gun I've been using. So this is a Husky brand. I got this at Home Depot. It's a pretty good unit. I've sprayed base clears with this. I've sprayed primers. I've sprayed epoxies. It's been a really, really good gun. I've been very happy with it. It's better than the one that you can get at Harbor Freight. So this one with the green nozzle is the high flow. You want to use this for the primer. Then I got this little stand here that I picked up this stand at Harbor Freight. I think it was probably 30 bucks, 20 or 30 bucks. It wasn't very expensive. But it works really great for setting it on here so that I can put my primer in. Just like that. So I'm going to grab a strainer. And then I'm just going to throw... Some people will double strain it. I don't know if I necessarily believe that you need to do that. But I'm going to take my primer, epoxy, and I really see the good yellow in it. It's got a really good color to it. I'm very happy with the way it tinted. We'll know once we spray it out how good it's doing. But this will probably give us about a half a cup. Looks like it's going about right here, which will be good for our first tack coat. So let me take over the panel and we'll do a spray out here. Now the manufacturer of 5 Star said wait 15 to 20 minutes before you spray. Now that I've got everything potted, I've got a hardener in it, got the tint in it, I'm going to let it sit here for about 10-15 minutes before I spray my first thin tack coat on the metal. Not the pattern we're looking for. Much better. Alright, now so now I'm here, I'm going to apply the second coat. Now I did try to mix the toner first before I put the hardener and the catalyst and all that reducer and stuff in there, but it didn't change. The 5 Star epoxy has a lot stronger pigment to it, so it takes a lot more toner to bring it to a yellower color. When I thought about doing this video, I realized there was no videos on showing how to make yellow primer. It's just a color. I mean, you can do it with greens, you can do it blue, you can do purple, you can do any color you want. I just wanted yellow. So this epoxy will work, but I noticed that the 5 Star takes a lot more toner, so that if you go to do this and you want to get that color, just make sure you order maybe, not a pint, maybe order a quart of mocha toner, which will give you this color. So we go over and take you to second coat. So I just laid the second coat. It's been about 15 minutes since the last one. This one's actually tacking up really good. It's drying a lot better than the Eastwood brand did. So now with this last third coat, I'm just going to do the edges really nice. Get a good hard edge on the outside pieces, and then I'll be done with this one. So here we go. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys how it come out. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. It laid really, really, really good. I don't have any problems, any bubbles, any separation. And with the Eastwood brand, I had quite a bit of problems, especially on the second and the third coat. Took a long time to dry, but it came out sharp. I mean, look underneath all the gems, even with all those joints and all those different areas and nooks and crannies. It laid really, really good. Very happy with this epoxy primer. That is tintable. So there you have it, guys. It came out really good. I highly, highly, highly recommend the 5-star epoxy primer. We were able to tint it really well with the mocha tint, and as you can see, it come out really, really good. It laid real thick. Got 3 coats on it. Very happy with the outcome. I would definitely recommend the 5-star epoxy over the Eastwood epoxy. Now, I did try both because I just didn't know which one I would like better. On the Eastwood brand, I kind of had a problem with the second coat. It took like 3 hours to dry. So I don't know if there was something wrong with the catalyst or what, but it just didn't do the very good job like I thought. But with the 5-star epoxy, man, top notch, good stuff. I'm very happy with the results. For a novice, somebody who's never really sprayed an epoxy primer, it actually came out really good, so I'm very happy with the results. So anyway, please rate, subscribe, look down below if you want to see the video on the Eastwood epoxy primer, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.